episode of Financial Freeway. My name is David J. Atwood, the man rocking the Ray-Bans on this rainy ride into work this morning. This morning we got up and it was pounding out. The skylight in the bathroom was just like a sounded like a drum. It was raining so hard on it. And Gabby was asking me, like, is this when is summer gonna kick in? Or sorry, when is spring gonna kick in? I was telling her, well, this sometimes happens, but you know what they say, you get some rain in spring, it's what we're gonna need. And they are forecasting a pretty hot summer this year. So the more rainy days we get now, the happier I am, because let's fill those reservoirs, let's fill those lakes up. Let's prepare ourselves, because water restrictions are coming. I've already seen the signs being posted places about water restrictions, and we've also got, I say that the drought, it just means brown grass, and it's just it's so beautiful in Victoria when there's green grass, and I tell you, I don't know if there's a more beautiful place in the world than Victoria in the springtime. Now, I've been to some places out in the world that are beautiful. They have a beautiful beach, or they have a beautiful mountain, or a really world famous river that you have to check out, or an amazing skyline. But in my life, I still believe this. Even though Victoria has its issues these days, there has been some issues popping up here and there, I still believe that Victoria is, in the springtime, is the most beautiful thing in the world. It really is. And I invite anyone, if you're not in Victoria watching me, make a point to come here. It's breathtaking. Try to come here in the spring. That's when it's really nice. But it's also really expensive. So when you come in the spring, it also costs a lot of money to stay here, because the prices do go up. And what's funny? I run a short-term Airbnb, and I wasn't going to do this. This show wasn't going to be a rant today, but I think today I'm gonna rant a little bit. I am shocked at how people are so opposed to Airbnbs. If you because I'm constantly on the look for that next piece of real estate, and strata. A lot of people who have stratas, their strata will say no short-term rentals. And I've often asked people, why is that? Why are you so against short-term rentals? Why are you against Airbnb? And most people, their quick answer is it lowers the property values. Or you get partiers. I've been operating Airbnb now for 4 years, and it does not lower property values at all. It does not. In 4 years, I've had I've had two bad guests. 2 bad guests in 4 years. And I'm booked about 80% of the time. So I have an 80% occupancy rate. So you think about that. If 80% of the year, we'll say it's around 300 days a year, my place is booked. I've got someone staying in my Airbnb. Right now I have someone there as well, right? And as much as I love it when my place is empty, but I also like making money. So I've got some people there right now. In the 80%, so in the 300, say 300, 600, 1,200 days, 1,200 days that I've had guests, I'm trying to think here. What would be a better, because it wasn't 1,200 guests, but in 1,200 days, I've had guests that stay, because I have a 2-day minimum. I've had 2 guests that stayed for 4 of those days. So I've had 2 guests who stayed for 4 days out of 1,200 days of being occupied by somebody, paying me rent to stay there. And those were the 2 guests that were a problem. That actually gave me a problem. Those are the two guests that left my Airbnb messy, and one of them left me with destroyed cutlery, if you know what I'm saying. I did have someone there with some spoons that were no longer usable when they left. That was it. So, I'm trying to think of a different way to do it. So out of 40, 80, 160 guests, I've had two guests. That gave me issue. One of them just left the place really messy. Really messy. They came in, they partied, they brought an extra person in, they were loud. And then another one, there was two people, they were very quiet the whole time they were there, and they left it messy. And I had one spoon that I couldn't use again. It was used for something else, if you are picking up what I'm putting down. So the province of British Columbia is aggressively fighting against Airbnb, and I always sit there and I always have to ask why. I always tell people, ask that extra question why. Go one more why deep. Ask yourself, why? Why do they not like Airbnb? Well, the first trigger answer for not liking Airbnb is it keeps housing away from people who need housing. Okay, well, I can say possibly, but most of the people I know that I have actually mentored in short-term rentals, because it is a great way to make have a side gig. Most people I've talked to about that have a room or a in-law suite that wouldn't quite qualify as something you could use as a long-term rental. In fact, the person that inspired me to get into the Airbnb game back in 2020 was a woman who rented out one of her bedrooms. And then later on, she rented out two of her bedrooms because she had a 3-bedroom place. And it was a woman living with her daughter, her adult daughter. Her adult daughter lived downstairs and she lived upstairs. And she rented out her place to men, two people were coming in for work, all kinds of things. And it worked out really well for her. In fact, it financed her retirement. So how could that be a bad thing? You know, a woman who did not have a pension plan, who didn't fall into the social network, social support system here, she was able to pay for her retirement with it. Sounds like a win to me. And so there's that, right? So most people who have Airbnbs aren't able to, you know, use them as long-term rentals anyways. Now, some people do. Some people have Airbnbs that absolutely are able to be used for long-term rentals, and they use them for short-term anyways. So there is that, but I think that's the exception, not the rule. Most people aren't able to rent out an entire house. Most people aren't in that position to buy a house and rent it out and take that chance that they're going to make enough money with Airbnb. So the next reason they say they don't want Airbnb is because it ruins neighborhoods. You get transient people who don't care, they don't have any skin in the game. And someone told me that too, like you're gonna have people trash your place. And I thought about it, I said, and my question to everyone who has that answer, when was the last time you went into a hotel room and you trashed it? Most people who are going into a hotel room or traveling somewhere aren't out there to trash a hotel room. There is always going to be that 1%. There's always going to be those people that are going to just be awful people. There's always going to be that. I call them the 1%ers. And that's what I mean. Like, yes, you know, like you're gonna have I say like 80% of the people, they don't care. They don't make a difference. They come in, they use your things, they leave. They leave the linens in the shower. They use the toothpaste that you left for them, and the beds have to be. I mean, nothing big. It's just regular stuff that most people are gonna do. I'd say it's 80%. And then you're going to get the 20% that complain, and you know they have bigger issues and they don't understand how Airbnb works, so they get upset that there's no turn down service. Things like that. So, but you're always going to have the 1% that just want to make your life a living hell. That happens, I believe, in every business, every facet. And yeah, you're going to have people that do burnouts in your neighborhood, and and you're going to have the odd person put a hole through your drywall. You know what? That is the exception to the rule, not the rule. So the reason people, when I start asking, like, these aren't really legitimate reasons why people don't like Airbnb. It's a bad marketing or whatever. But when I ask that extra question, why? Well, why? But in certain cities where they were able to absolutely outlaw Airbnb, and it infuriates me that they're able to do this. You buy a property, you should be able to do with it, within reason, what you would like with it. You should be able to have anyone you want stay at your house without question. And you should be able to operate your house as a small business if you want to. You should. There should be licensing in place, possibly inspections, registration. I get it. You want to wet your beak a little bit with some extra taxes. I get it. That's what you do with businesses. But these cities have out and out outlawed them. Go stay in a hotel room there, and the price of hotels go up. Where there is no Airbnb option in some cities, and there are, the prices are through the roof. And here's a little interesting fact. A friend of mine went to Vancouver recently, and their hotel room was crazy expensive because they were going to watch a soccer game. There was a tax put on top of a fee that was going to pay for the FIFA games that were going to be held in Vancouver. And they're like, what is this? And it was a substantial amount of money. And the receptionist was like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry, but that's what we're doing. And this is what the city of Vancouver is able to do. They're able to charge you for something that you may or may not be attending, but because you're going to a hotel, I don't know if it was the city of Vancouver or the hotel or who it was, but people are talking about spending $450 a night for a hotel room. Not a suite, not a place with a kitchen. No, a hotel room. I have noticed that when the government's able to step in and do the thing and start saying, no, you're not allowed to do these things, such as an Airbnb, I've noticed that why are hotels now able to charge more? Because they've eliminated one more part of the competition. And the thing is, Airbnb offers things that hotels can't. And as well, hotels offer what Airbnbs can't. We do not have a full-time staff at Airbnbs. We can't offer, we can, some do offer, food service. And I know my brother was running one after I counseled him talked him into getting an Airbnb. And he offered them breakfast and things like that. He offered them a menu. He was like, but he was a chef and that was his thing. I don't have that ability to do that. And there's some that offer turn-down service, but again, most Airbnbs can't do it. It's a side hustle for most people, and it's about convenience for the guest. They have a place to stay where they get free parking. They get a nice, quiet, private place to stay in. It's safe, it's warm, and for the most part, less expensive. Anyways, shocks my mind, blows my mind, but ask the question, why? And when someone said, well, possibly the hotels got together and said we should hire a lawyer or a lobbyist to go to the government and lobby that Airbnb should not be allowed because it's taking away. Now, some places, I know some places in particular, some cities rely heavily on the tourist industry. They rely on having hotels and resorts available. And when we start talking about taking jobs away from people who work in resorts, I can understand that's a big deal. Like for instance, there's a town up north called Parksville, and I was talking to someone on the city council, and he said this whole town lives and breathes off of the resort industry, and we have to protect the resort industry. We have to protect the resorts and the jobs, and that's why that I could see. But Vancouver, Victoria, Saanich, Kelowna, like, what are we doing here? So you start to ask the question. It's like you start to realize, okay, so there is more going on than just people saying that it ruins neighborhoods. It doesn't. And all I say is when it comes to anything in life, ask the extra question. Ask someone, why are things this way? Why are we walking down this path? Why are we being charged this? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? You ask the extra questions. Just ask why. Just a couple more times. That's all. I don't like to throw conspiracy theories at people. I don't like to say, I believe that this is why, there's somebody pulling the strings. But I do really like people to ask the extra question. Ask why things are happening. And when you start asking that extra question, why, and it doesn't take long to go that one extra step down to realize how upsetting some things are just by asking that one extra question. Anyways, again, I'm sorry I didn't want this to be a rant, but I started thinking about it this morning and I kind of got riled up a bit about the whole Airbnb thing, only because it affects me. I wanted to open Airbnbs in other places in the province, and I was not allowed because of these laws. And I understand how it is that some people want to protect certain areas, but in those same areas, they have no problem tearing down one or two houses and throwing up a 300-unit condo building. So for them saying they don't want to change landscape, I'm like, again, I asked that extra question. Why is it okay to rip down a forest and put up a 300-unit condo building, but it's not okay for a guy to operate a just things like that. Anyways, folks, again, I apologize for the rant. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to watching on YouTube. Check out financialfreeway23.ca. That's where I'm dropping all these videos. And as I always say, make sure you spread the word. Spread the word. Always get your friends to ask one extra question. Ask why one more time. And you'd be surprised that just by asking the question, how much more illuminated things. Thank you so much for watching. Wherever you are in this world today, have a wonderful day. God bless.